This is Steve Jewin for MMAmania.com. This interview with Belal Muhammad was recorded on April 25th, 2016, before his main event with Steve Carl at Titan FC on April 30th, available live on UFC Fight Pass.
Hello?
Hi, Belal Muhammad.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Steve Jewin for MMA Mania. How are you doing today?
What's up, man? I'm good.
I'm glad to hear it. You've got a big fight coming up this weekend on April 30th, fighting Steve Carl in the main event of Titan FC 38. So, how's the preparation going for the fight?
It's going good, man. Getting good training in, weight coming out fine. Everything's feeling, on point, ready for the fight.
I just talked to Steve Carl a little bit ago, and he told me he usually walks around at light heavyweight and sometimes even heavyweight before he cuts to welterweight. So, I'll ask you, what do you walk around at usually?
I'm usually walking around like at 190, 185-ish.
Alright, so it's not too difficult of a cut for you from 185 to 170 then, that you're not feeling drawn out at the end?
No, yeah, I don't like to cut that much weight. I don't like to drain myself at the end. I like to just keep a good training the whole time, staying light the whole time. So just like a feel on fight night.
I cover Bellator for MMA Mania as well as other things, and you've had a couple of fights in Bellator, so my question is probably obvious, but why do you think you're not fighting in Bellator still?
They actually offered me a contract when I was still with them, but that's when they were still under like their old management. And like I was, that was like, I only had my, when I was like 4-0, and I was at that point, I was like, yeah, UFC is the biggest thing out there, so all I want to do is wait for UFC. I don't want to sign anything long-term with Bellator just because a lot of people are complaining about it. But right now they're doing a lot of great things now, so, I mean, if they call now, who knows?
So basically, in the Scott Coker regime, you're a little more open to it than the Bjorn Rebney regime.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you said UFC is the biggest thing out there, and coincidentally enough, Titan FC gets shown on UFC Fight Pass, so it's a pretty big showcase.
Yeah, that's a really big deal, I think, especially since the UFC taking Fight Pass seriously too. They just put the Eddie Alvarez and, Rafael Desailly on there. So, I mean, they got enough subscribers where they'll take a chance to put a lightweight title fight on there. So I think, it's a really big deal that we're on Fight Pass just because it's going to bring a lot more people from all over the world watching it.
Yeah. Well, I think I knew it was official when they had the Anderson Silva Michael Bisping as an exclusive on Fight Pass. I'm like, okay, if they're putting Anderson Silva fights on Fight Pass, they know it's real now.
Yeah, exactly.
The exposure, the main event, a title shot, everything that's going into it, it's not overwhelming at all, I would hope.
No, not overwhelming at all. I'm comfortable with it now. I'm just like kind of used to the attention and stuff like that. So I'm just ready for the fight. I got a big name opponent in front of me. So hopefully I finish it.
Yeah, so how do you break down Steve Carl as a fighter? When you look at him, what do you think? Strengths, weaknesses, things I can do, things I can't? How do you analyze him overall?
He's a good fighter. I think he's more of a gritty fighter. Like he's not going out there with like the biggest, best athlete type thing where he's going to do any jump spinning kicks or anything like that. He's just the guy that's going to get in your face and, not take a step back. He's going to try to grind it out.
Coincidentally enough, that's pretty much how he described himself. He's gritty, get in your face kind of guy. He didn't use those exact words, but he was like, you know what? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get in people's faces. In fact, he said that was his mistake in the Who Smart Horace fight, was that he was too eager to get in his face.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I was telling my coach about it. Like, that was his game plan against a guy that's, specialist on the ground with leg locks. He wanted to get in his face, stuff like that. So, I mean, that's his game plan for all of his fights. So he's not going to change it up for nobody.
It sounded like he wanted to change it up for this fight. So I guess he reevaluated the successfulness of that plan, decided maybe it's time for a change, and especially going against an undefeated guy.
Yeah, well, man, everybody has a plan until they get punched, so we'll see if he goes back to his old ways.
That's true. But you say everybody has a plan until they get punched, but you've got 2 knockouts on your record so far. So is it just that we haven't seen that fully develop yet, or is it just the opportunity hasn't materialized? How do you describe it?
I mean, I'm going against tough guys. I'm not going to go in there and, the guys that I've faced, like, have really good records. They probably have, like, a handful of losses altogether. And, I mean, I'm going in there looking for the finish. I'm not moving forward or anything like that, but I'm not going to sit there and force it. When it comes, it comes. I'm just not going to go in there and, let myself opening, trying to get a knockout or headhunt or anything like that. I'm just going to keep moving forward, keep putting my hands on them. And then, I mean, my fights aren't boring. I'm still moving forward. The crowd's still going crazy during it. So, I mean, when it comes, they'll come. I'm not going to force anything.
Look for the win when it's there, and don't try to burn out your gas tank, especially when it's a 5-round fight and you don't know how many of those rounds you'll be going.
Yeah, exactly.
On top of that, you've got the nickname Remember the Name, and being undefeated is one way to stay memorable, but that's probably not how you got the nickname, so I want to hear that story.
Just when one of my first amateur fights, the announcer came up to me and asked me what my nickname was, and I didn't want to give him anything weird or anything like the bulldozer or something stupid like that. And then he mispronounced my name at first, so then I told him, yeah, you're gonna be remembering after this fight. So then he said, oh, all right, yeah, I remember the name. And I said, yeah, just keep remembering the name as my nickname.
Well, the first time I heard that was your nickname, it made me think of a song where he said, "You're gonna remember my name." That
Yeah,
immediately popped into my head.
yeah. There's a couple songs like that.
Maybe they can play that when you come out on Titan FC. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So, main event, title fight. Is this your first title fight? I don't know if any of the other fights you've had have been for a title.
Yeah, this is my first title fight. I wasn't really big about titles because, I mean, I don't want to fight 5 rounds unless I have to. But, it was just the opportunity was too big to pass up, against a big name like Steve Carl. So then I took it.
Did it change up your training then? Did you have to put in extra time on cardio?
No, I'm actually, I'm big on cardio no matter what. Like, for all my fights after the 3rd round, I'm still ready to go some more. So, that's like one of my biggest strengths, I think, is my cardio. So, I mean, I really didn't have to do anything else. Didn't have to change anything up. I'm usually really good with cardio no matter what.
Now, is there any advantage, being that you've talked about Carl being a big name and somebody that's been around for a while? Is there any psychological advantage you can gain from basically having so much of his library to look at and him not having nearly as much footage on you?
I mean, yeah, there's an advantage, but I'm not the, big on, film type of guy. I'll let my coaches watch, my brother watch, and they'll come up to me with like tips or something like that. But I don't like to sit there and focus on, watching it just because I like to focus on myself first. I don't want to change up, like, set my strategies for, like, what I think he's going to do. I like to just train for what I want to do no matter what. I mean, I'm good wherever the fight goes. If it goes to the ground, standing, wrestling, like, wherever the fight goes, I'm going to be comfortable with it. So, like, I don't want to sit there and focus, oh, he's a grappler, so I'm just going to grapple this whole time. Or he does this a lot, so I'm just going to focus on this because like you said, it's a fight, and he has a lot of submissions, and they're all different types of submissions. So, I don't want to sit there and focus on anything specific.
Right. Like if you train to prevent a leg lock or a rear naked choke and focus exclusively on that, then you're missing other things that could happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've heard a lot of other fighters say the same thing too. Some of them openly say, like, I won't watch anything on a fight. I'll just go in there. Like Darren Cruikshank told me that. He's like, I never ever watch the other fighters' fights. I just go in there and fight them the same way regardless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to sit there and set your style up, change your style, and that messes everything up. Like BJ Penn's last fight against Craig Hager, I don't know what the hell he was doing, but where he came out with that new style. I mean, you got to do what got you there.
Absolutely. So, how did you get into fighting in the first place? What led you to break into it?
Actually, I found out about fighting because my high school wrestling coach, Lewis Taylor, I was in college and I ended up seeing him in a newspaper fighting for Strikeforce. And then I ended up like Facebooking him, and he told me like to come to the gym because I used to watch UFC and all that stuff all the time, but I never trained it. And then he told me to come to the gym, and it was just history from there. I just liked it and I stuck with it.
So yeah, if you had a wrestling background to begin with, you were already one step ahead of a lot of people that tried to get into the sport. It's the base. You got to be a good wrestler, prevent takedowns, get takedowns to get anywhere in the sport.
Yeah, exactly. Wrestling's like the biggest base, especially nowadays. Everybody wrestles. You gotta be good at everything, just wrestling, everything, because the one-sided guys are only like good at striking or good in grappling. One-sided, they're not gonna last long.
Right, yeah. If you focus entirely on striking and kickboxing and things like that, you're just going to get taken off your feet immediately. It's going to happen. We've seen it.
Yeah, especially now, like a lot of people are setting more game plan type fights. Not a lot of them before, it'd be like anybody just go in there and they'll bang it out type thing, but now it's more game plan based fighting that you see like in the UFC and stuff now.
I was just talking to Steve about this. I said, in that Koreshkov-Henderson fight, Henderson probably thought he was going to take Koreshkov off his feet, and then when it didn't happen, it was like, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah, exactly, man. That looked really bad, and it made him look bad too. Just because I think it took him. Didn't think he was gonna be that tough of a test, and he went in there and he thought the dude's hips. He's like, oh wow, okay, this is gonna be harder than I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. He had another thing going with that fight, but I also thought it was weight disadvantage for him going in. A 5'8" guy against a 6'1" guy. It's just naturally, even if they're both fighting at welterweight, one guy's just naturally heavier.
Yeah, but like when Benedicta fought Thatch was bigger than Koreshkov. So I was like, all right, I don't think height's gonna be a difference or anything like that, but he comes hard and he hits you harder. That was a tough test for him.
That was indeed.
I wonder if he's going to stick at 55 or go back to 55 or 70 now.
Exactly, yeah. I think, look at the matchups that are available to him in the promotion. He could have a rematch with Josh Thompson. He could fight Ill Will Brooks for the title. There's lots of openings for him at 155.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think it's better for him to go down there. But I don't think he deserves a title shot right away at 55. I think he'll just need to work his way up again.
That's true. But there are plenty of good fights for him to work his way up to if he wants that. So we'll see what happens in the future. But right now in the present, we're focusing on your fight with Steve Carl. So it's going to be at the Mikasaki or Miksuki Casino. I keep getting that name wrong.
I'm thinking Mississauga.
Misasaki, okay. So Misasaki Casino Saturday night, UFC Fight Pass, Titan FC 38. So it's going to be a tremendous fight. We're looking forward to seeing it. What else do you want to say about, being in the main event? You said it's no pressure. You said title fight, you'll fight like any other fight. But what does it mean to you personally to be in this position right now?
It means a lot. It means that my hard work's paying off. That grinding those times in the gym. Now I'm starting to get out there. People are starting to notice me. And people are going to start remembering the name after this fight.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole goal is remember the name and fight many more fights as either the champion or the top contender to Titan FC and UFC. Maybe that's in your future too, since you'll already be seen on UFC Fight Pass. That could be the next step.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me just go ahead and get any sponsors, shout outs, promotional plugs, teammates you want to thank, anything you want to give out at this time.
Yeah, thanks. Shout out to my team, Rufus Ford, and Chicago Fight Team out of Chicago. Shout out to AFT in Chicago. Shout out to my sponsors, English Soul, Ramadan Associates, Neurovitamins, Exclusive Wireless, and Get Connected. Shout out to everybody that supports me and everybody that's coming down to Miami. I have a big group coming down, so hopefully get the crowd going.
Everybody come down from the Midwest to Miami and be there for the fight. Titan FC 38, the main event. Belal Muhammad and Steve Carl. So again, I want to thank